Samantha had been looking forward to a quiet weekend with Daniel for weeks, hoping to escape the constant pressures of work, emails, and household responsibilities, craving a moment of peace where they could reconnect and enjoy each other's company without interruption. And when they arrived at the lakeside cottage, the air felt crisp and comforting, the gentle breeze carrying the scent of pine and water. But there was also a subtle tension, a sense that something unusual might happen, because this secluded spot, though familiar, always had a way of surprising them. And as they unpacked their bags and set about preparing dinner together, laughing over small mishaps in the kitchen, a soft tapping at the window drew Samantha's attention, a sound delicate but deliberate. And though the cottage was normally quiet at this hour, this tap carried an unfamiliar energy that made her pause, her curiosity mixing with a touch of unease, and she motioned for Daniel to come over, both of them moving cautiously toward the sound, noticing how the fading light of dusk cast long shadows across the wooden floor and reflected off the lake, making everything feel slightly surreal. And when they reached the window, there was nothing there, just the trees swaying and the calm water beyond. But the sensation of being watched or guided persisted, creating a tension that made their hearts beat a little faster, and Samantha suggested stepping outside to investigate, holding Daniel's hand for reassurance as they moved onto the porch, the wooden boards creaking under their feet, echoing in the quiet evening, and as they scanned the surrounding area, they noticed faint movements near the edge of the forest, shadows that didn't seem entirely natural, flickers that could have been wildlife, but felt oddly deliberate. And Samantha's mind raced with possibilities, some practical, others imaginative, each one stirring a mixture of fear, wonder, and excitement. And Daniel's protective presence beside her both calmed and heightened her awareness, because he was just as alert, scanning the trees and lake with a careful intensity that reminded her how deeply they relied on each other in unexpected moments, and the combination of curiosity and caution pushed them slowly toward the forest edge, where a faint glow began to appear through the trees, moving like drifting lanterns, mysterious and ethereal, and Samantha's chest tightened as the lights seemed to dance in the fading evening light, neither threatening nor ordinary, and she felt a surge of emotion, the mix of fear, fascination, and anticipation creating a potent energy between them, as if the world had shifted slightly, placing them in a situation that demanded full attention, presence, and trust, and every step they took toward the glow amplified the sense of the unknown, the ordinary world left behind as they entered a space where anything could happen. And Samantha noticed how Daniel instinctively held her hand more firmly, their fingers entwining, the physical connection grounding them while their minds raced with questions about the lights, their source, and the intentions behind them. And the closer they approached, the more real the lights became, floating slowly over the water and around the trees, revealing a delicate rhythm and pattern that seemed intentional, like a quiet celebration or ritual. And Samantha's heart swelled with a mix of wonder and nervousness, realizing that they were witnessing something rare, private, and beautiful, yet entirely unexpected. And she felt the intensity of the moment, the unusual situation presenting itself not as a threat, but as an invitation to pause, observe, and feel deeply, and every flicker of the lights, every shadow, every sound of the water lapping against the shore heightened her awareness, pulling her fully into the present, a sensation both exhilarating and humbling, and she realized that in this unusual circumstance, she and Daniel were more connected than ever, sharing not just a physical space, but an emotional journey, their trust, curiosity, and affection blending into a single experience. And as they reached the small clearing where the lights appeared brightest, Samantha noticed that the scene was larger than she expected. A group of people, quietly setting floating lanterns on the water, smiling softly as they whispered among themselves, creating a serene, magical atmosphere. And in that instant, Samantha felt a profound shift. The initial fear and tension melting into awe and admiration, understanding that the unusual situation had created a rare opportunity for emotional closeness, shared wonder, and reflection. And she squeezed Daniel's hand gently, their eyes meeting with unspoken acknowledgement that this night, sparked by an unexpected glow and a series of subtle mysteries, would become a lasting memory, a moment where curiosity, courage, and emotional presence intertwined. And as the lanterns began to drift farther into the lake, illuminating the water in soft golden light, Samantha breathed deeply, absorbing the beauty, the calm, and the connection, knowing that this first part of the unusual situation had already transformed the evening into a profound experience, one that would guide their interactions, reflections, and appreciation for each other in the days to come. And she felt gratitude for being present, for stepping toward the unknown, and for sharing this extraordinary quiet moment with someone she loved, understanding that sometimes the most unusual situations offer the deepest lessons, the strongest bonds, and the most lasting memories. As the night deepened, Samantha and Daniel stood by the edge of the lake, captivated by the flickering lanterns drifting slowly across the water, and the unusual situation that had begun with a simple tapping at the window had grown into something mesmerizing, almost surreal, stirring a mixture of awe, curiosity, and quiet tension that kept their senses sharp and hearts racing. And as they observed, Samantha noticed subtle patterns in the lantern's movement, almost as if they were being guided, creating shapes and formations that seemed intentional and meaningful. And she leaned slightly into Daniel for comfort, feeling both vulnerable and exhilarated at the same time, because this experience, unlike anything they had expected for their quiet weekend, was pulling them fully into the present, demanding their attention and heightening their emotional connection. And Daniel, sensing her mix of fear and fascination, held her hand gently but firmly, grounding her while also sharing in the wonder. And together they stepped closer to the source of the glow, careful not to disturb anything, their footsteps silent on the damp grass as the cool breeze from the lake brushed against their faces, carrying the scent of pine and water, blending with the warmth of their closeness. And as they reached a small clearing where the lanterns seemed to gather, they realized it was a group of locals performing a traditional evening ritual, releasing lanterns to honor memories and hopes. And the unusual situation revealed itself not as a threat, but as a quiet celebration of life, creating a mix of relief, amazement, and emotional resonance in Samantha and Daniel, who watched in silence, absorbing the beauty and serenity, feeling their own connection deepen with each floating lantern, each soft whisper, and the gentle glow reflecting in the water. And Samantha thought about how rare it was to witness such a moment unexpectedly, how the unpredictability of life could bring both tension and profound emotional reward. And she noticed how Daniel's eyes softened as he observed the ritual, and she felt a wave of gratitude for his steady presence, realizing that shared experiences like this, even in moments of initial uncertainty, could reinforce trust, emotional intimacy, and mutual appreciation. And as the ritual continued, the lanterns multiplied, drifting toward the horizon and illuminating the lake in a warm, golden shimmer. And Samantha and Daniel exchanged glances, each smile and subtle touch speaking volumes, the unusual situation transforming into a moment of romantic connection and emotional clarity. And as they stood together, hand in hand, their minds reflected on the fragility and beauty of unexpected moments, on the need to remain open to wonder even when life seems ordinary. And they realized that these experiences, rare and fleeting, offered a chance to slow down, notice, and appreciate the depth of love, trust, and shared awareness. And the initial tension of uncertainty gave way to relief and awe, blending seamlessly with a growing appreciation for each other and the quiet lessons embedded in the night. And Samantha felt her heart swell as the lanterns drifted farther into the distance, carrying the light of hopes and memories across the lake, a tangible reminder of the magic in paying attention, in embracing uncertainty, and in allowing oneself to be fully present with a loved one. And Daniel squeezed her hand lightly, silently acknowledging that this unusual situation had not only offered them a breathtaking view, but also a renewed sense of connection, a shared story of wonder, and a reminder that life's unexpected turns often bring the richest emotional rewards. And as they slowly walked back to the cottage, their steps light, hearts full, and minds buzzing with reflection, Samantha realized that moments like these, born from unpredictability and curiosity, carried the power to transform ordinary nights into lifelong memories, deepen bonds, and cultivate a shared awareness of beauty, connection, and emotional presence. And the unusual situation that had initially sparked apprehension now became a symbol of hope, joy, and the quiet magic that exists when one embraces the unknown alongside someone you love. And as they settled inside, the soft glow of lanterns still reflecting in their eyes, they carried with them the calm exhilaration, the intimacy of shared discovery, and the profound understanding that life's most memorable and meaningful moments often emerge unexpectedly, inviting reflection, deep connection, and a renewed appreciation for the people and the world around them. And Samantha knew that this night would remain etched in her memory as a beautiful illustration of how unusual situations, approached with curiosity, openness, and presence, can become moments of emotional depth, closeness, and lasting joy. As the lanterns continued to drift across the lake, Samantha and Daniel found themselves drawn deeper into the unusual situation, their curiosity and awe blending with a sense of calm intimacy. And they moved closer to the water's edge, careful not to disturb the glowing orbs, realizing that what had begun as a mysterious, even unsettling moment was transforming into an extraordinary shared experience that neither had anticipated. And Samantha noticed the way Daniel's eyes reflected the lantern's soft light, the quiet admiration and care in his gaze, making her heart swell with warmth and appreciation. And she felt a mix of emotions, wonder, relief, and an unexpected romantic connection that seemed to grow stronger with every passing second. Because moments of uncertainty had a way of revealing not only the beauty around them, but also the depth of their bond. And as they watched the ritual, Samantha reflected on the tension and excitement of the evening so far, realizing that their shared attentiveness, vulnerability, and willingness to embrace the unknown had brought them closer in ways that ordinary routines never could. And Daniel, sensing her thoughts, reached for her hand, squeezing it gently, and she felt an emotional reassurance that words could never fully convey. A reminder of how small gestures of presence and care could speak volumes in moments of quiet wonder. And as they lingered at the lake, the lanterns floated further into the night, their glow reflecting on the rippling water, illuminating faces of the locals who released them with soft smiles and hushed conversation. And Samantha noticed how the unusual situation had allowed her to pause, to observe, and to truly appreciate the details. The patterns of light, the gentle sounds of water, the shared silence between her and Daniel, and the way the night seemed to hold space for reflection and emotional connection. And she realized that their earlier tension, sparked by curiosity and slight apprehension, had evolved into a profound shared awareness, where every heartbeat, glance, and whispered word carried meaning, reinforcing trust and intimacy. And as they leaned closer, their conversation shifted from descriptions of the lanterns to reflections on life, on the small ways they sometimes missed noticing beauty in each other, and on the importance of being present, attentive, and emotionally open. And Samantha felt a wave of gratitude for the unusual situation, understanding that it had created a space for dialogue and observation that might not have happened otherwise. And as they exchanged thoughts and feelings, the emotional resonance between them deepened, reminding them of the power of shared experience in nurturing connection, empathy, and love. And Samantha noticed subtle ways Daniel mirrored her attention to the scene, commenting thoughtfully on the colors, the rhythm of the lanterns, and the way the wind carried them across the water, each insight reflecting his engagement, care, and desire to share the moment fully with her. And she felt an emotional pull, a mix of admiration and romantic warmth that strengthened the bond between them. And as the night continued, the lanterns gradually dispersed, leaving traces of their glow on the rippling water. And Samantha and Daniel stood side by side, absorbing the final moments of the ritual, feeling a quiet, shared exhilaration and peace. Recognizing that the unusual situation had not only offered a visual spectacle, but also an emotional journey, revealing the depth of their affection, trust, and capacity for wonder. And as they began walking back toward the cottage, their hands intertwined and their steps synchronized, Samantha reflected on how curiosity, openness, and shared vulnerability could transform moments of uncertainty into opportunities for growth, closeness, and lasting memories. And Daniel's soft reassurances, laughter, and presence filled her with gratitude and warmth, reinforcing that the night's events had strengthened their connection and reminded them of the importance of noticing, listening, and being fully present with one another. And as they entered the quiet cottage, carrying the lingering glow of the lake and lanterns in their minds, Samantha realized that this unusual situation had evolved from a mysterious, tense beginning into an unforgettable experience of wonder, reflection, emotional intimacy, and shared joy, and she understood that the lessons of the night, trust, presence, attentiveness, and openness, would guide them in future moments, helping them nurture their relationship, embrace unexpected beauty, and appreciate the extraordinary within the ordinary, leaving both of them with a sense of fulfillment, emotional resonance, and the knowledge that some of life's most meaningful experiences arrive in ways we could never predict, turning uncertainty into connection, mystery into reflection, and fleeting moments into enduring memories. By the time Samantha and Daniel returned to the cottage, the unusual situation had transformed into a profound sense of calm and connection. And as they stepped inside, closing the door behind them, the quiet warmth of their home felt different, infused with the lingering magic of the lake, the floating lanterns, and the shared experience that had carried them from initial tension to wonder. And as they moved through the familiar rooms, unpacking their jackets and settling into the soft glow of the lamps, Samantha noticed how their conversation naturally flowed, reflecting on the night's events with curiosity, awe, and a subtle romantic intimacy that neither had anticipated, and Daniel shared his impressions, his voice calm but animated, describing the colors of the lanterns, the way the water mirrored the light, and the quiet reverence of the people who had released them. And Samantha listened, captivated not just by the images he painted, but by the thoughtfulness and attention he brought to every detail, recognizing how much the unusual situation had allowed them to slow down, observe, and appreciate the extraordinary within the ordinary. And as they shared laughter over minor misinterpretations and subtle observations, Samantha felt a deep emotional warmth, realizing that the night had strengthened their bond, fostering vulnerability, openness, and trust in a way that routine evenings never could. And she reflected on how moments of unpredictability, while initially unsettling, can reveal the depth of human connection, the beauty of shared attention, and the emotional richness that comes from being fully present with someone you love. And Daniel, sensing her reflection, reached for her hand, their fingers intertwining naturally, and in that quiet gesture, Samantha felt a surge of intimacy, understanding that the night's unusual circumstances had catalyzed a deeper awareness of each other's presence, thoughts, and emotions. And as they moved to the living room, the soft hum of the cottage enveloping them, they talked about their hopes, dreams, and small regrets, sharing pieces of themselves often left unspoken in the busyness of daily life. And Samantha noticed how much clarity and calm the conversation brought, turning what had begun as a mysterious and slightly tense encounter into a night of emotional growth, mutual appreciation, and romantic connection. And as the hours passed, they reflected on the lessons hidden within the unusual situation, the importance of observation, patience, and openness, the way vulnerability can foster closeness, and the reminder that even unexpected events carry the potential for profound insight and connection. And Samantha thought about the lake, the glowing lanterns, and the people who had unknowingly guided them through a moment of awe, realizing that the unusual situation had become a metaphor for life itself, where beauty, wonder, and emotional richness often appear in unanticipated ways, demanding presence and attention. And she felt gratitude for the shared experience, for Daniel's attentiveness, and for the quiet, tender moments that had unfolded naturally between them, reinforcing the emotional intimacy and romantic undertones of their relationship. And as the night deepened and the cottage grew still, Samantha and Daniel settled side by side on the couch, hand in hand, allowing the quiet to envelop them, reflecting on how the unusual situation had changed the tone of their weekend, turning it from ordinary relaxation into an unforgettable emotional journey. And she realized that shared vulnerability, curiosity, and presence had not only strengthened their bond, but also provided a lasting memory they could revisit in thought and conversation for years to come. And as they finally prepared for bed, carrying the sense of wonder and closeness with them, Samantha felt a profound appreciation for the unpredictability of life, understanding that moments, which initially seem unusual or unsettling, can reveal hidden layers of connection, love, and insight. And as she drifted toward sleep, the glow of the lanterns still vivid in her imagination, she knew that the night had changed her perception of the world, of Daniel, and of the power of shared experience, and that the unusual situation had become a defining moment in their relationship, reminding them that attention, openness, emotional presence, and curiosity transform even the smallest encounters into memories of beauty, intimacy, and lasting connection, leaving both of them with a quiet joy, a strengthened bond, and the knowledge that life's unexpected events, when approached with care and openness, can deepen love, inspire reflection, and create unforgettable experiences that linger far beyond the initial moment, embedding themselves in the heart and mind as enduring symbols of trust, romance, and emotional richness.